Hey everyone, I'm Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of Washington, coming at you today with a week one Washington legislative update. Today is January 12th. It's the final day of week one. And I thought I'd just bring you, instead of a bill of the day, I thought I'd bring you a little update on how week one has gone, what we've been seeing, and give you a little bit of a preview into week two. So it's been an interesting week. We have been noticing that we've been getting some of our team members, myself included, have been getting skipped over in testimonies. So where they will, so if you're on doing remote testimony, you're in Zoom and then they call you up as a panelist. So you'll get a prompt to join as a panelist and then it sort of brings you into the sort of backside so that you'll be able to actually testify because it's a webinar format. And we've had a couple of our members who sign up for a lot of bills get passed over entirely. Like Eric Pratt, who is on our team, he signed up for every bill in one committee and he was not allowed to testify on any of the bills, which we have not seen that before. But Eric has an interesting strategy and he's been employing this strategy now for a couple of sessions, and it's possible that the Democrats are just sick of him. Which is interesting because as a citizen, it is his right to be able to make his public comment. However, the chair of each committee, which all of the committee chairs are Democrats because we have a Democrat majority, and so everything is sort of whatever the chair at the chair's discretion, right? So the chair doesn't have to let anybody testify, really. So it looks like maybe we're seeing a little bit of chair discretion going on, and they don't really want to hear what we have to say. What I notice every time, and this is what I noticed in the very first committee hearing that I testified in nearly 2 years ago, it was mid-January 2022, I noticed that the Democrats, or maybe not even just Democrats, but the side that it was in favor of the bill, they had a lineup of people to testify, whether it's, let's say it's an education bill and you've got the WEA and the OSPI and the, SEIU and the Principals Association and the WSWASDA and all these different organizations. They're all just lined up to testify. And the committee chair is very amicable to these people. They laugh and joke a little bit. They have a great time. But then when it comes to people like me or other conservatives who are opposing these bills, oftentimes just citizens, you'll get parents who show up to testify on education bills, and they get really treated poorly. They get cut off, they get their time shortened, really get dismissed. Some of the chairs even seem to have a habit of making citizens or people that don't agree with their policy feel stupid and small, telling them that they just don't understand the bill. So it's interesting. For me, that doesn't deter me when someone tries to make me feel stupid or like I don't understand the bill, because I understand what they're doing. But I think if you're just a mom that it wants to protect her kids, and so you go in, you just want to make your voice heard, like that's really discouraging. But I just want to tell you that that's their strategy to discourage you, to frustrate you, so that you don't show up again. So please consider showing up, consider testifying, because what needs to happen in the legislature is the voice of the citizens and is that resistance to the plan that they're just pushing through. They've been able to do it for so long now with no resistance, with zero opposition on both sides. So it's time for the citizens to show up. It's time for the citizens to speak up. And I really want to encourage you to get involved in this process, because government is designed to be by and for the people. Your voice is supposed to be heard. And I know that they don't listen to us. They don't care what we have to say. And that makes it frustrating. But I want you to use that frustration and turn that into motivation to really double down and make your voice even louder, whether that means, signing in on two times as many. Maybe you signed in on 5 bills this week, sign in on 10 next week. Maybe you haven't done a written testimony yet. Send written testimonies on 2 or 3 bills next week. You don't have to be eloquent with it. Just say that you oppose it or support it, and a couple sentences as to why. You don't have to be eloquent with your words or go into deep details. That's not necessary. But I would encourage you to double down on your efforts a little bit, because the louder you get, the more that they're going to have to start paying attention. Speaking of paying attention, the 6 initiatives that were passed, the push that Let's Go Washington and Brian Haywood did, I know that the police pursuit one, I think it's 2113, has officially been certified now. And per the Washington State Constitution, it says such initiative measures, whether certified or provisionally certified, shall take precedence over all other measures in the legislature except appropriation bills, and shall be enacted or rejected without change or amendment by the legislature before the end of such regular session. And I'm here to tell you, now we know the Democrats don't really seem to care about the Constitution, but I haven't heard a word from anyone in any of the committee hearings I've been in this week about the initiatives. And I would suspect that the Democrats are going to just flat out ignore it. But we'll see. And then, of course, if they ignore it, it goes onto the ballot. But I just wanted to make a note of that. I've sat through a number of committee hearings this week, and I've heard no mention of it from anybody. And I don't really know. I've never, sat through the initiative process as it pertained to the legislation. So that part's new to me. I'm not sure what to expect, but just thought that was interesting to note. So a couple of the bills that we testified on this week that were quite interesting. Yesterday, I was supposed to testify on House Bill 2038. Now, this bill would create a optional survey for parents who submit to unenroll their kids from public schools. Now, the Republicans who have sponsored this bill say that they want this bill to collect data from parents to find out why they're unenrolling their kids from public schools. And we disagree with this for a number of reasons. Data collection, I get that it's optional, but some parents won't really understand that it's optional and they'll fill it out anyway. Which is, that's their prerogative if they want to do that. But we don't feel that we, as parents who are the primary stakeholders in our children's lives, have to or owe the state any explanation for why we make the choices that we make. So we disagree with it from that perspective. We also disagree with it because parents have been speaking up for years. All through COVID, before COVID. Look at the comprehensive sex ed bill in Washington that parents spoke out in the hundreds of thousands on that bill with the referendum 90 and all of that. I think it passed on the ballot because of the deceptive wording in the voters pamphlet, but parents have been speaking for a very long time. I've sat through dozens of hearings where parents come to the education committee to express their concerns, and they get totally dismissed, they get cut off, or they don't even get to testify at all. So rather than saying that you want to hear from parents when it's too late, go fix the problems that we know exist. We know that the public schools are failing. The OSPI report card is horrible. So go fix that. I never hear any of the education people, any of these committees talking about fixing the academic success rate in the public schools. So go do that and then see what happens. The other thing with what was interesting with that bill, so they didn't let me testify. They only let 4 people testify. And the Washington Education Association, the teachers union, testified they loved this bill. In fact, they wanted to work with the sponsors, the Republican sponsors, to make it more robust for data collection. So with their support of this bill and what they were commenting on, that was huge red flag to me above all the other red flags we already had. That is a red flag. So House Bill 2038 tried to testify. They didn't let me. And I know that the ranking member on the committee was not happy with the CLW position on that bill. So I factor that probably had something to do with the fact that I didn't get to testify. So I did send the committee a follow-up email, and hopefully we will hear something back from them. But we will oppose that all the way. And since it's got such support from the teachers union, you can be pretty rest assured that that's going to go ahead and pass. So that's very unfortunate that we have Republicans writing bad policy, but it is what it is. Today, we had myself and one of our other team members covering the bills to change the definition of vaccine. There was overwhelmingly citizens signed in opposed to this. They tried to make it about RSV, like we need to do this so that we can give RSV vaccines to every child without cost. And I feel like that's really deceptive because okay, then write a bill that says RSV vaccines for no cost, or RSV monoclonal antibodies or whatever it is that they're doing, write a bill for that rather than actually changing the legal definition of the word vaccine. I didn't hear a peep about COVID, which makes me extra skeptical on this. I think they're being deceptive and intentionally so. So this huge red flag, we will be following both of these bills. They're like twin bills. They're called companion bills. They're the exact same bill, one in the Senate, one in the House. So we had one of us on each of those bills testifying against those. So we'll keep you posted on that. Next week is a big week. Tuesday is going to be 2A Tuesday. There are 5 House bills being heard in the Civil Rights and Judiciary Committee on Tuesday morning. I think it's 10:30. I'm going to link a video below to Washington gun law. Bill Kirk did a great job of talking about the hearing for these bills, what you can do. So visit the link, watch his video on that. There's another gun bill on Monday, Senate Bill 5444, that's a carryover from 2023. This would prohibit carrying it says weapon, but I think they're talking about firearms specifically in certain places. So like the zoo, the aquarium, parks, airports, things like that. So, I think of like, I was a single mom living in Seattle back in the mid 90s. And if I lived there today with a toddler and I wanted to go to the park with her, I would definitely be carrying. So the fact that you wouldn't be able to carry at the park, that's concerning because there's so much crime in Seattle that why can't you have self-protection? So we will be covering that bill on Monday as well. There's a bunch of bills for next week, a lot of bad bills for next week that we need you guys to sign in on and make your voice heard. One of the bills that I have talked about a lot is Senate Bill 5427. I call this the Tattletale Hotline. This would allow someone to report a hate crime or bias incident to the Attorney General's office and collect $2,000. What could possibly go wrong? So I'll link videos, previous videos that I've done on that, but that is one that we will want you to sign in on as well. This will be in the Ways and Means Committee because it's already gone through its first committee last session, its carryover bill. So after it goes through, the process would be after it goes through Ways and Means, it would go potentially to a floor vote in the Senate. If it passes in the Senate, then it would move over to the House to go through the same process. So a lot of steps there, but that is a very concerning bill for a number of reasons. Senate Bill 6144 is about establishing a prescribing psychologist certification. So this would allow psychologists to prescribe medication. So what this means is that school psychologists would now be able to prescribe medication for students. And think about it this way, in Washington state, 13-year-olds and older they have medical freedom, so they can get what they want without parental consent. And in last session, Senate Bill 5599 and House Bill 1469 made it possible for children to have abortion or gender-affirming care without even parental notification now. So your child could go to school and get a chemical abortion, or they could be taken off campus to get a surgical abortion, or they could be given puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones. This would all be under the scope of the school psychiatrist. And we know that Washington State is working hard to increase the school-based health centers. That was something that they did in December. They had a work session for this. So this is a big priority for them. This is a very dangerous bill, not to mention the overprescription of psychotropic drugs. And we're seeing a lot of negative effects because of that. So this is a bill that we're very opposed to, and it has a hearing next week. So there's a lot going on, and I will have links in the description box below so that you can start taking action, get a little bit ahead of week 2. I just want to thank you all for, being interested in this and for taking action and making your voice heard and doing what you can to participate in the process and save Washington State. I do believe that it is our duty and responsibility to get involved and do our part, however, whatever form that looks like for you. So thank you for that. I'm going to remind you, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our Substack. This is the very best way to get the latest information from us and the latest calls to action and all of that. So please be sure to subscribe. I'll have a subscription link in the description box as well. And please consider becoming a paid subscriber, which is becoming a member of Conservative Ladies. That's the best way that you can support the work that we're doing. We're not affiliated with any party or other organization or any deep pocket donors. We are just supported by people like you who appreciate that we are the voice of the citizens. We're trying to bring you truth and transparency and hold government elected officials accountable, and get citizens involved in the process by educating and empowering you to use your voice. So we would appreciate that. Another alternative is you can always kick in a few bucks and make a donation. And I'll have a link to that in the description box as well. So thanks again for all you're doing. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you again next week.